Friends, fellow human beings navigating this incredible, often chaotic journey called life. Let me genuinely ask you, from the depths of my own experience and observation, have you ever woken up feeling an invisible weight on your shoulders, burdened by the challenges that seem to relentlessly stack against you? Have you faced moments of profound disappointment, failure, or loss that left you feeling utterly powerless, as if the script of your life was being written by some indifferent external force? Do you find yourself reacting instinctively to difficult situations with frustration, anger, fear, or withdrawal, only to regret your response later, wishing you had handled things differently? If you've nodded along to any of these questions, if you felt that sting of helplessness or the pull of reactive emotion, understand this: you are not alone. These feelings are part of the universal human experience. But while the challenges themselves may be inevitable, our suffering often is not. What separates those who are crushed by adversity from those who rise stronger, wiser, and more resilient? It is, in large part, the internal game, the mastery of the mind. We're about to embark on a deep dive into this internal landscape, exploring powerful principles that have guided sages for millennia and continue to empower millions today. This journey inward reveals an untapped source of strength and freedom that resides within each of us. If this exploration resonates with that part of you yearning for growth, for greater peace and power, please consider joining this path with us. Take a moment now, if you haven't already, to subscribe to this channel. Your presence here fuels this shared journey of transformation. For so long, the common understanding, the default mode for many of us, has been to see our minds as passive, recipients of reality, like a mirror, simply reflecting whatever is placed in front of it. We believe our feelings and thoughts are direct, unavoidable consequences of external events. This bad thing happened, so I have to feel bad. That person was rude, so I have to be angry. This perspective leaves us vulnerable, tossed about by the whims of circumstance. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of our most powerful tool. The mind is not a mirror. It is a lens. Imagine putting on a pair of sunglasses with bright, yellow-tinted lenses on a cloudy day. Suddenly the world doesn't look grey and dreary. It looks warm, even cheerful. Or put on lenses that are dark and heavy, and even bright sunshine can feel oppressive. The external reality, the clouds or the sun, remains unchanged, but your experience of it is dramatically altered by the lens you are looking through. Your mindset, your beliefs, your interpretations, your internal state, these are the tint and filter of your mental lens. This concept is foundational to Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes controlling our inner world because we cannot control the outer. And it's a cornerstone of modern peak performance and personal development strategies. Tony Robbins, for instance, speaks extensively about managing one's state, the combination of physiology and focus that determines how we feel and perceive. Your state is essentially the setting on your mental lens. Are you looking through a lens of fear and scarcity or one of opportunity and gratitude? The landscape might be the same, but your experience of traversing it will be vastly different. Recognizing that we have a lens and that we can learn to change it is the first step towards reclaiming our power. This brings us face to face with a critical choice point that appears in every moment of challenge. Do you choose to be a victim of your circumstances or the owner of your response? Life will deliver blows. You will face disappointment, betrayal, loss, and failure. These events are not fair, they are not always deserved, and they can cause genuine pain. The victim mindset focuses on the unfairness of the event, dwelling on, why did this happen to me? It assigns blame externally and feels powerless to move forward. The ownership mindset, however, while acknowledging the pain, shifts the focus internally. It asks, okay, this happened. It hurts. Now, how will I respond? What can I control now? It's the profound realization that while we cannot control the external event, we have absolute sovereignty over our internal world, our thoughts, our interpretations, our attitude, and our subsequent actions. This is the essence of personal power. Tony Robbins encapsulates this perfectly. It is not what happens to you, but what you do with what happens to you. He teaches that the meaning we give to an event determines how we feel and what we do. We can assign a meaning of catastrophe and despair, or we can choose to assign a meaning of challenge, lesson, or opportunity for growth. That choice of meaning is the ultimate act of ownership. Consider the story of someone who loses their job unexpectedly. The victim might spiral into despair, blaming the economy, their boss, or bad luck, feeling helpless and resentful. The owner, experiencing the same shock and fear, might allow themselves a moment to feel the pain, but then quickly shift to asking, okay, this is difficult. What skills did I gain? What did I learn? What are my options now? Who can I reach out to? They take ownership of finding a new path, leveraging the experience rather than being crushed by it. This leads us to the realization that the mind doesn't just perceive reality, it actively assigns value to everything it encounters. Is that rock on the ground worthless? Or could it be a tool, a paperweight, or a beautiful addition to a garden? Is that setback a disaster or a valuable learning experience? The difference isn't in the rock or the setback themselves, but in the value, the meaning that our minds choose to assign. We live in a world that constantly tries to dictate what should be valuable to us: money, status, possessions, external validation. An untrained mind can blindly accept these societal valuations, chasing things that ultimately don't bring lasting fulfillment. Stoicism encourages us to pause and reflect. What do I truly value? What aligns with my deepest principles and aspirations? This self-awareness is crucial because if we don't consciously choose our values, the world will choose them for us, often leading us down paths that don't serve our genuine well-being. Tony Robbins often challenges audiences to identify their core values because he understands that these values act as an internal compass. When our actions align with our values, we experience congruence and fulfillment. When they don't, we feel internal conflict and dissatisfaction. The mind's power to assign value is immense. Directing that power intentionally is key to a life of meaning. Operating with a fearful or insecure lens, a weak mind often sees enemies everywhere. It interprets neutral or even positive interactions through a filter of suspicion and judgment. A colleague's quietness is seen as disapproval. A friend's differing opinion is perceived as an attack. This projection of internal fear onto the external world creates unnecessary conflict and isolation. It builds walls where bridges could be built. A trained mind, however, recognizes this tendency and consciously seeks alternative interpretations. It understands that much of what others say or do is more a reflection of their own internal state than a deliberate act against us. More importantly, it learns to welcome feedback and even critique, not as personal insults, but as potential opportunities for growth. Someone pointing out a flaw in your work isn't necessarily an enemy. They might be offering a chance for improvement. This mental shift requires humility and a commitment to seeing possibilities rather than threats. It strengthens our resilience because we are less easily derailed by perceived slights. Our minds, therefore, have the power to be either a nurturing shelter or a suffocating prison. The thoughts we repeatedly think, the stories we tell ourselves, shape our internal environment. If we constantly tell ourselves we are failures, unlovable, or incapable, we construct a prison of limiting beliefs that restricts our potential and suffocates our spirit. We become trapped by our own negative self-talk, afraid to try, afraid to be seen. Conversely, by consciously cultivating empowering thoughts and beliefs, we build a mental shelter, a place of strength, self-acceptance, and possibility. Affirmations, self-compassion, focusing on past successes and strengths. These are the tools that build this internal sanctuary. Tony Robbins' work on breaking through limiting beliefs is a powerful testament to this principle. He shows how identifying the beliefs that hold us back, understanding where they came from, and consciously replacing them with empowering ones can unlock massive potential and create a profound sense of internal freedom. You can change your beliefs, and by changing your beliefs, you change your internal world from a prison into a launch pad. An inevitable consequence of an untrained mind is that it is often ruled by emotion. Emotions are powerful, essential signals, but without conscious awareness and management, they can become tyrannical dictators. Anger flares, leading to words we can't take back. Fear paralyzes, preventing us from taking necessary action. Anxiety overwhelms, clouding our judgment. We become slaves to our feelings, reacting impulsively rather than responding thoughtfully. Stoicism doesn't advocate for suppressing emotions, but for understanding their transient nature and developing the wisdom to not be controlled by them. It teaches us to observe our emotions without judgment, to understand their cause, and to choose our response. Mindfulness practices, simply paying attention to our thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them, are modern applications of this ancient wisdom. Tony Robbins provides practical tools for changing one's emotional state instantly through altering physiology, focus, and language. These techniques empower us to shift out of destructive emotional spirals and into states that support effective action and clear thinking. Learning to navigate our emotional landscape is vital for conscious living. This brings us to a principle that is both simple and profound. You become what you think about constantly. Your dominant thoughts are shaping your reality day by day, moment by moment. If your mind is constantly replaying past grievances, anticipating future disasters, or dwelling on what's wrong, you are literally programming yourself for negativity and difficulty. This isn't just some abstract spiritual concept. It has a basis in neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself based on repeated thoughts and experiences. What you focus on, you strengthen. If you constantly focus on problems, your brain gets better at finding problems. If you consciously choose to focus on solutions, on opportunities, on what you are grateful for, your brain literally gets better at finding those things. Tony Robbins emphasizes this principle in everything he does. His famous question, "Where focus goes, energy flows," highlights this dynamic. If you want to change your life, you must change your focus. By intentionally directing our thoughts towards what we want to create, towards solutions, towards possibility, we harness this fundamental law of the mind to build a life aligned with our aspirations. In a world that often celebrates complexity and busyness, there is immense power and peace in simplicity. The simpler the mind, the less the suffering. Much of our distress comes not from external circumstances, but from our own overthinking, our tendency to create elaborate negative narratives, to worry about things outside our control and to complicate matters unnecessarily. We clutter our minds with trivial concerns, past regrets and future anxieties, drowning out the present moment and the clarity it offers. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is essential, what is within our sphere of influence, and to let go of the rest. It encourages us to simplify our desires, our commitments, and our mental landscape. By decluttering our minds, we create space for clarity, peace, and focused action on what truly matters. This doesn't mean avoiding complex issues, but approaching them with a clear, uncluttered perspective rather than a tangled web of worries. Finally, perhaps the ultimate test and demonstration of a trained mind is its ability to see good, even in misfortune. This is not toxic positivity or naive optimism. It is the profound wisdom that every challenge, every setback, every moment of pain contains within it a lesson, a hidden strength, or an unexpected opportunity. It is the understanding that growth rarely happens in comfort. It happens in the crucible of adversity. When faced with a difficult experience, the untrained mind sees only loss and suffering. The trained mind, while acknowledging the pain, actively looks for the gift. What did I learn about myself? What strengths did I discover I had? Who showed up for me? How did this experience clarify what truly matters? This perspective transforms setbacks from dead ends into detours, from catastrophes into catalysts. It is the core of resilience. It is the belief that even in the darkest moments, there is light to be found or forged. This reframing is not about denying reality. It's about choosing the most empowering interpretation of reality to fuel our future. The journey of personal growth is not a destination. It is an ongoing practice. It is the conscious, daily effort to understand and train this incredible instrument we call the mind. It is the commitment to choose our lens, to take ownership of our response, to assign value aligned with our truth, to see possibility instead of threat, to build an internal shelter, to navigate our emotions wisely, to focus on what empowers us, to embrace simplicity and to find the lessons and strengths hidden within every challenge. The power to change your experience of life, regardless of external circumstances, does not lie outside you. It is not in a job, a relationship, or a bank account. It resides within, in your capacity to train and direct your mind. Embrace this power. Commit to this practice. The life you are capable of living, the peace and strength you seek, are waiting for you just beyond the lens of your current perception. Step into that power today. Thank you.